the downside, we had a pretty mediocre Super Bowl. On the upside, we had a phenomenal halftime show and a crazy NBA trade deadline. So you know what? We take what we can get. Ladies and gentlemen, you already know what time it is. We need to already go ahead and get rocking and rolling so that we can keep up with the sports content. Let's go with another episode of The Numbers with me, Niles Nassim. Here we go. And we are back with another episode of The Numbers with Niles Nassim, your weekly sports show that goes through everything in sports, and we got to break it down to the T, where we give you everything that you need. My name is Niles Nassim, and we are going to go ahead and start with the elephant in the room, which is Super Bowl 60. What can I say? A masterclass of a defensive performance. If your type of game is like an offensive shootout, slugfest, it is not. You didn't miss much. But if you can appreciate great defense played at the highest level, this is your game. Great defense was actually played on both sides, but the Seattle Seahawks showed that this was an all-time great defense. No, this defense isn't as violent as Legion of Boom is. Like, it doesn't instill fear in you like the Legion of Boom did. You know, like, good God, imagine just catching the ball and then Cam Chancellor's coming at you, or Richard Sherman. But it's not like that. But statistically, they are on par with Legion of Boom. Statistically, might even be a little better. They're not, like I said, as violent or as flashy, but they just get the job done. I mean, they held the Patriots scoreless for 3 quarters. I don't care what the stat sheet says. The 13 points were all garbage time buckets. All garbage time buckets. They shouldn't even allow them to score. They kind of took the fourth quarter off in a sense, and it was getting a little scary there because the Patriots looked like they could come back. Had that interception not been thrown by May, I don't know. But I will say this. At the end of the day, you knew what this was. You knew this was going to be an absolute rout. You knew this was going to be BTA. You knew they were going to bend them over knee and just give them that good old shellacking on the behind. You knew what this was going to be. And I told you this. It wasn't going to be close, and it wasn't close. Mind you, this defense really did carry everything. They carried everything. There was a point where the defense had the Patriots going out on, I don't know, it might have been 6 or 7 consecutive drives. It was 3 and outs. The Patriots could do nothing. Now, here's the crazy part. You might look at Drake Maye's stats right now, right? You know, he threw for 295 yards for 2 touchdowns. You might say, man, he played a great game. If you actually watch this game, that defense absolutely suffocated him. They did not give this man any kind of room or any kind of time in that pocket. And so much so that even when he did have room, he was chasing ghosts and throwing and missing wide open receivers because he was so spooked. I mean, look at the stats. I mean, we have to take about it. Like I said, scoreless through the first 3 quarters. The Seahawks had 6 sacks, okay? They had 11 QB hits. They had 21 hurries. They were pressuring him 53% of the time. What do you do with this? They had 3 takeaways, 3 turnovers, okay? 2 of them were a fumble, and then that god-awful interception he threw in the fourth quarter, which absolutely stunned them, and that was basically going to be the end of the game. It really wasn't much they were going to do after that. I mean, the only reason why the Patriots were even in this game remotely is because of Christian Gonzalez. Because had Christian Gonzalez not played the game of his life in that secondary, the amount of big plays that the Seahawks could have had where they could have blown this open and won by 40 was absolutely insane. But the defense got the job done. You know, it's very reminiscent of a game that took place about almost a decade earlier in that very same stadium, in Levi Stadium, where Cam played the Broncos. And the Broncos basically carried Peyton Manning to win a Super Bowl. And Von Miller won that MVP, and that defense was an all-time defense. We saw another all-time defense in display. Now, the theme of this Super Bowl is going to be all-time defense, subpar quarterback play, okay? Both quarterbacks did what they needed to do, right? Well, they didn't do what they needed to do. Sam Darnold did what he needed to do. Now, let's make this very clear, okay? First of all, Sam Darnold's story is incredible. I couldn't be happier for the brother. 28 years old, he's still got a lot of life left in him. If I'm him, I'm staying right in Seattle because I have found my home, okay? Minnesota should never even let him walk. And how do you feel after that? after the numbers he put up in Minnesota, okay, yes, he had a little bit of a stinker in that first round of the playoffs last year. He's come back now. He's won the Super Bowl. In fact, fun fact, he's the first quarterback in that stacked 2018 draft class to win a Super Bowl. You know, the one with Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and Baker Mayfield. He's the first one. And this is one of the things where we talk about the development of the quarterback. We got to stop acting like everybody's going to be Patrick Mahomes or even Drake May. You're not going to go ahead and get to the Super Bowl after the first year or two with a quarterback. You need to stick with them and let them build and let them develop. The problem is the Jets are a trash organization. They spent over a decade putting themselves in the mud and then wanted Sam to clean them off in 1 to 2 years. Nah, Playboy, there's layers of dirt on you and layers of trash on you. It's going to take Jesus himself to clear that thing out. That terrible trash franchise deserves nothing good, ever, okay, ever. They gave up on him, okay, now he's out here traveling around. He's going to the Carolina Panthers, which I was about to say the same thing about the Panthers that I would say about the Jets, but I don't want to wish anything bad on the Panthers because I think Bryce Young has found his footing, and I want to see that brother succeed. But they still did Darnold dirty, okay? He goes, sits in the Shanahan offense. He's sitting behind, was it Brock? Was Brock at the time? Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was behind Brock Purdy. Yeah, he was sitting behind Brock Purdy in San Francisco, wasn't really doing anything, and then he goes to Minnesota. Goes to Minnesota, absolutely tears it up. Minnesota doesn't really believe that he's worth, quote unquote, the money that he wants. He walks, he goes to Seattle, and now they win the Super Bowl, okay? Listen, Seattle had no problem picking up Sam Darnold because they were moving on from Geno Smith. No disrespect to Geno Smith. I think Geno Smith is a pretty decent quarterback. But I think it's safe to say that they made the right decision. He had a pretty good regular season. He threw for over 4,000 yards. He can sling the ball, okay? At times, you might say he's a game manager. This game, he was a game manager. Only threw for 202 yards, threw for a touchdown. What really kept them in the game was Kenneth Walker and their kicker. All right, Kenneth Walker won MVP. He had 135 yards rushing with 27 carries. He should have had a touchdown. They didn't take it back for that stupid flag. But he did a really good job, and he kept them in the game. A lot of big plays through Kenneth Walker. It was great. But Sam Darnold did what he needed to do. He managed the game, and he still won a Super Bowl. But it doesn't take anything away because in the moments where they needed him, even throughout the playoffs, like especially when he played against the Rams, he played lights out. You can believe in Sam Darnold now. That's a great quarterback. He can be a great quarterback, but he's definitely good. And we can even say that at a certain point in time. I got to give it to Sam Darnold. I'm extremely happy for him. I hope he's found a home in Seattle. They can do this again. Seattle's a complete team. They got the quarterback. They got the receiving core. You got Cooper Kupp, you know, who I'm hoping is going to even elevate and maybe return to somewhat of form when he was a Triple Crown winner down there in L.A. Crazy that he beat the Rams and then wins another Super Bowl. That's sentiment its own self. You got Smith-Njigba, who's an all-world receiving talent. You got Kenneth Walker, who's a great running back. Defense is elite. Who's to say that they're not the favorite in the NFC to do it again? And I know we said the same thing about the Eagles last year with all they had, and they plummeted, but that's not the same culture that you have in Seattle that they have in Philly. They could really do this all over again if they keep their heads on the right track. Okay, but here's the thing. You know, when we talk about one quarterback, we got to talk about another. And Drake May, I don't want to hear nothing. I don't want to hear nothing that any of you guys got to say. He's 23. Hey, welcome to the league. It's your first time going to the Super Bowl. You know who you get to play? An all-time great defense. Statistically, a defense that I believe is top 10. You get to play them in your first game in the Super Bowl. What did you expect him to do? He did what he could. He played to the very end. Yes, he made mistakes, but guess what? I think you would make mistakes too if you had those boys coming after you. And that offensive line for New England was absolute trash. Now, don't get me wrong. There were times where he missed open throws. He made mistakes, like I've said before. But that offensive line, I felt like they had money on the game. They need to be investigated. Because the way they let that defensive front get to Drake May and hurry him and make him uncomfortable, it's borderline suspect. I need Sherlock Holmes on that field now. But here's the one thing I will say. All jokes aside, for Drake May, what a season. Came second in the MVP voting. I think we know that Matt Stafford was the correct person to win MVP. But now you start back at week 1. You know what it takes to get there. Now you just got to figure out what it means to win there. And I think he can. I don't think this is his last time in the Super Bowl. I think they will find a way to get back there. I think they will find a way because the Patriots organization is a franchise that wins. They will put the requisite weapons around him, bolster the roster, make sure that everyone's playing the right positions to get him back to where he needs to go. He's a great quarterback. He is. I don't think this is a fluke season. I don't think we're going to see any regression. I think we're only going to see an upwards ascension. Is he going to be Tom? I don't think so. Who the heck is ever going to be Tom? But I do think he's going to be great. And I do think we're going to see him back at that big stage. Whether he wins or not is up to him. But I'm telling you, he did what he had to do. It wasn't a good game. But he's 23. How many 23-year-olds do you know are in the Super Bowl? And I can say the same thing about his offensive lineman, the one that you guys already talked about, Will. Listen, the brother was trying his best. It's his first season. He's been pretty much protecting Drake pretty solidly the whole season. He gets to the Super Bowl. Again, he's playing an all-time defense. Things are going to happen. Give him a break. You retool, you refuel, you make it happen. All in all, the Super Bowl was really the Benito Bowl. Let's just be honest. It felt like it snuck up on me. It snuck up on a lot of us. And I think that the matchup wasn't too compelling, even though this was a rematch of a decade prior. It just didn't feel compelling because if you don't really watch football, you wouldn't. It doesn't call out to you. There's no stars. There's nothing. If you're just a casual fan, but if you knew football and you watch it, you knew this was gonna be a stomp. But you also knew that this could definitely be an interesting game. I don't think the Broncos would have been that much interesting either. The thing is this, right? For next season, we got to find a way to get either Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen in that Super Bowl. That's just what it has to be. We got to get one of those two in that Super Bowl. We just do. Because then we can add some box office level attraction in there. But I will say this, no matter what, both teams played a heck of a game. But Seattle got the job done, and I'm very happy that they are your Super Bowl champions. Okay, let's go ahead and go down to the NBA trade deadline and the outcomes for some of the top trades that happened. Now, we're going to already get these out of the way because, I've already been on record on my TikTok and Instagram page saying that Washington definitely did their big one with this trade deadline, trading for Anthony Davis and Trae Young for pennies on the dime. I mean, they gave absolutely scraps. What they gave up to get those two, it's like highway robbery. I felt like these other teams literally got, just absolutely hoodwinked. But at the end of the day, what we have to say is this. This was a play for next season. It's not for now. It's for the next, okay? Because when Anthony Davis gets back, he's going to be healthy, prayerfully. I say that with my fingers crossed because that brother just walks and gets injured. But then he comes back with Trae Young. Trae Young is going to do a great job playing with him, running that pick and roll. I think we can put Anthony Davis at the 4, which he plays best at, which will make him be able to be more available. I think you get Alex Sarr in the weight room right now, bulk him up a little bit, put some more muscle mass on him, let him play that 5 position. I think that you got some really good pieces in Washington. Some really good pieces. This is the first time I've said something positive about the Wizards since ever. You really got something good cooking in Washington. You really do got something good cooking in Washington. It's just that with the Eastern Conference, some of the people that are coming back after injury and some of the trades that have been made, it might be a little difficult, but you have something good in Washington. But I'm not going to grade them because Davis is out for the season. Trae is probably not going to play too. You're going to tank, which is smart. Tank and get a top 5 pick within this next draft class, which is absolutely stacked. And, man, you're on your way, okay? Another thing we got to get out of there, Jaren Jackson for the Utah Jazz. It was looking good with Lauri Markkanen yesterday. I mean, it was looking good to it wasn't, but he's out for the season trying to take care of a growth that they found in his knee. So I think that is something to look forward to. I do think that front court can do some damage. Lowry, Jaren Jackson, the Memphis Grizzlies are probably in full-on rebuild mode at this point. And I do believe the Utah Jazz can make some noise. I think they can get a 6th, 5th seed, something like that. We'll see what comes of it next year, but speedy recovery to Jaren Jackson. All right, now let's go ahead and break down some of the other things that we needed to talk about. Jose Alvarado, that dude, I love him. Absolutely love him. He plays for my Knicks. If you know me, I'm a Knicks and Hawks fan. I'll explain why later. But he plays for my Knicks. He was born to be a Knick. He was born to be a Knick. I mean, the dude is what we need, a hustle and 3 guy. Dude was getting absolute buckets last night. 26 points, 5 steals, 4 assists, and 3 rebounds. He did this in 19 minutes. 19 minutes. He did it in 19 minutes, and he's just pesky. But, like, not Patrick Beverley pesky. No disrespect to Patrick Beverley, but, like, he plays good defense. The amount of steals, the amount of hustle plays, the amount of second chance points he was getting, the way he was moving the ball. He's the perfect guy that's fitting into this nitty-gritty system of New York basketball. You know, and he grew up in New York. This is a dream come true to play in the Garden. His first game was in Philadelphia, a hostile crowd, and they were chanting his name by the end of the game. Mind you, Philly fans don't have much to chant for their own team, and you know how disgusting they are. Those fans, nauseating fans, when their team sucks. So that's take that with a grain of salt. But still, he had Philly chanting for him at the end of that game. He's that guy. And I can't wait to see what it's like when he goes home, because role players always play better at home, and he's going to get juiced up by that Garden crowd. Whoever's idea was to go get him, you deserve a raise. Sensational. Sensational. I think he's going to be a key piece on this run. I think he's going to be special. All right. Next thing you know, we have Cam Thomas. You know, the Brooklyn Nets just, you just want to suck. I don't know what you were planning and who you think you were going to get to make your team better, but you just suck and you want to suck, and that's okay. Really, it's not okay, but still, this is just what you want to do. At the end of the day, Cam Thomas is a certified bucket getter. Now he's on the Bucks. He just dropped 34 points in his debut last night off the bench against Orlando. I mean, when we're talking about absolute certified buckets, and we're not talking about best players in the world, I'm talking about, hey, put the ball in the basket. When you let him go, he's like top 10 in the league of just certified bucket getters. He can average 20 a night. Really, if you let him play, he can average like 25, 26. Now, here's the thing. Is he a first option on the championship team? As of right now, no. Because he doesn't really bring anything else for right now. As the games evolve, he could be. But he's a certified bucket. He can score at every level. He can shoot. He can drive. He can get in that mid-range, give you that post work. I mean, he's got everything in his bag. I mean, his bag is deep like the fries in the bag of what? I said that wrong. You know what I mean? His bag is deep like the fries in the bottom of the bag of a McDonald's order. You know the analogy I mean. He is insane. He really is insane. 34 points off the bench. You know, mind you, Giannis isn't even playing. We don't know if Giannis will be there next season, but if Giannis does come back, he's got a little piece there. You know, if you just put Cam in the right situation, this is what it is. It's situational basketball. Put people in the right position to succeed. Put them in the right situation. You put them in the right situation, you're going to see them thrive. And I think Milwaukee is a great situation for him. And I think he can average 20 if he's used right. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk on Cam Thomas. Certified bucket. All right. We got Jared McCain going to OKC. He's picking up steam. Best game yesterday. Dropped 12 points, 5 of 8 shooting. He had 4 assists, 1 rebound. I mean, in 22 minutes, he's finding his footing. Again, like I said, if Sam Presti is asking for one of your players, don't give him that player, because he sees something in that player that will make his franchise better. And guess what? He is exempt from any criticism as a GM because of what he's done. He still has a bag of draft picks he can still use at any point in time. This entire Thunder team that you're seeing right now, Shai's the only one that really got the supermax. Everybody else, they're really on rookie contracts. So he has this young core he can keep for the next 3-4 years. And then whenever they want to price themselves out of OKC, he can lean back on his draft picks to go get some more. Or use them for trade compensation. He knows what he's doing. And he knows the people to bring in. And he brought Jerry McCain in because he wants someone to run that second unit and be able to score. And if Jerry McCain is healthy and he can show himself to return to form like he was last season, what do you do with the Thunder, man? Seriously, what do you do with the Thunder? Best team in the league. Probably title favorites. If Shea comes back and everything's good, that's fine. They just got to make sure that the Spurs don't catch him to get that number 1 seed. All right? Finally, we're going to go to Harden to Cleveland. Now, Cleveland's 3-0 since the trade. Harden is averaging 22.5 points, 6 rebounds, and 8 assists. Okay? Mobley isn't even back yet. And it's looking sensational. All right? Here's what I think. Cleveland can make a run. They can make a run. They can make a run. And I mean, this season they can make a run. Question is, right, when you look at timetables for if Jason Tatum, I don't think he's coming back this season, but can he? Does Cleveland's experience and chemistry lend to assisting other teams in winning? We need to see what they can do in a 7-game series against Boston, against New York. But they can make a run. You're seeing James Harden starting to play like the Beard again, okay? There's a little glint in his eyes. You can see some of the cogs moving. Donovan Mitchell is playing at an exceptional rate because now he gets to be a little more efficient. Now, once Evan Mobley comes back, it's going to get wicked because you're going to have Donovan Mitchell, James Harden, Evan Mobley, and Jared Allen. This is an insane lineup. Not to mention, a certain someone can come back home. Yeah, I said it. If I'm Bron, I'm coming back. Why wouldn't I? I only got 1 or 2 years left in me. I think he's tired. I think that Lakers franchise isn't giving him anything that he needs to succeed. I think he's done what he needed to do in LA. He brought a championship. He has ran his course. He is an all-time great, the second or first greatest player you've ever seen pick up a basketball. Hey, I never thought I wanted to say LeBron to go back to Cleveland, but you know what? Why not? In 2026, the lineup for Cleveland, if he were to go back, would be Donovan Mitchell, James Harden, LeBron James, Jared Allen, Evan Mobley. You know how insane that is? That's a championship level team. And Bron doesn't even have to play that hard because he can defer. So you really might get another year out of him. And he might be the first person to go out on a farewell tour at 40, actually contributing at a high level to the team. I think it's the only smart thing to do. Either that, or you can always trade out LA for NYC. But I will say, the trade deadline was good. There's a lot more trades we could get into, like the Vucevic trade to the Celtics. There's a couple other ones we can delve into, but those are the big ones right now. I'm interested to see what's happening this NBA season. I think that this is turning out to be a very entertaining NBA season. We have multiple teams that I'm looking at that are really shocking the system. Speaking of shocking the system, what the heck is going on with Charlotte? I guess that trade for Kobe White really helped them, but they were already doing well. I mean, they were already, even before that trade, they were winning 11 of 12 of their games. Knuble is doing absolute yeoman's work on the offensive end. LaMelo is finding his way as well. This team is young, it's vibrant, it's fast, and they just stick around. They don't die. Teams are tired after playing the Hornets because they don't play the same way as Golden State did. But the way teams are just tired after playing them reminds me of the way Golden State used to be in like 2017, 2016, and how people were just trying to chase them with all that off-ball movement. They were like, they just couldn't keep up. I feel like that's how the Hornets play. They just played in a different style, but teams are tired because they just stick around and they don't die, and they're always within striking distance, and then they happen to go off and then they win. They're not getting blown out. They're figuring it out right now. And listen, they are making a strong push to where they may have to not play in the play-in. But look, here's the crazy thing about this, right? They're dangerous because they screw around. They get that 1 seed against Detroit. I think they can give Detroit fits. They're both young teams, both inexperienced in the playoffs. I think that's a hard 6, maybe 7 for Detroit. And I wouldn't even be surprised if they lost that series. I'm still favoring Detroit, but the Hornets can really beat up on anybody. And the Kobe White trade must have been good because I thought this was a very guard-heavy kind of thing. But guess what? They're doing what they need to do, and it's working out. As long as LaMelo keeps progressing, Charlotte might be here to stay. They might be the most exciting team in the league. Who would have thought I would have said that? But that's all I got for this episode. Love y'all. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you have any more takes, I'll see you on the next episode. Man, we got some college basketball to talk about, some stuff in college football to get into, but we're going to get rocking and rolling. I'll see you soon.